Hello, this is Cheryl Smith with Heartland Stamping, and we are here for cloud cover. I know that we don't have an ink pad for this, but in your kit for this month, you're going to get an ink spot that is blank. It'll be white, and you'll just take your refill ink and ink it up. Do it slowly. I over-inked mine, so put some on there and you'll see it start to sink in, and then let it go. I wish I would have done it as a live instead of just doing it on my own, and that way you guys could see it. But just like everything else, you can add more, but once you get it in there, it's going to be hard to get out. So do it a little bit at a time. You know, you can fill it till it has a pretty good sized circle, and then see if it'll go ahead and fill in on its own and test it out with a stamp and see how it does. But this is, I know it looks dark, but that's the cloud cover ink. So that's my tip for that one. Our card that we're going to make, I am going to use Secret Sea. I just like how that looked on here better. I felt that it coordinated better. And I also use Secret Sea as the accent color. So let's talk about what's going to be in your kit. You guys are going to have this card base, and it will be a little funny because you'll think part of it's missing, but no, that's what it's supposed to be like. And in the tutorial, you guys will get the exact measurements so that you can put this together. There is also, oh, here it is, right under my hand. There is a second card base that fits in there. It's going to go like this, so it'll open, boom, boom, just like that. And then we've got some parts and pieces that'll go on there to make it look really cute. So I'll try to keep these in order over here. And let's start with the card base itself. So this is cloud cover. I've got a piece of Secret Sea that is cut. I know this is cut just 1/8 of an inch, but man, that is really close, you guys. You can see there's not much of the cloud cover showing. When you get these, if you like a bigger margin, you can cut this down to like 5 1/4 by 4. And then you can cut the corresponding piece of DSP down maybe another 1/8 of an inch or so, just to make, you know, give them bigger borders. I like those smaller margins on my mat, but some people may not. So don't feel like you have to live with what I've given you. You can always just trim a little bit off. So we'll get some liquid glue on that, and I'm going to turn it this way so I can see how it's going to fit on there, just like so. Try to make sure it's even at the top and the bottom. And then if you like to die cut a piece out before you glue that down, you sure can. You could die cut out a pretty good size rectangle, one of our pretty fancy stamps. Oh, here's the other side. That's cool, that basket weave. We're going to cover that up. But yeah, you are going to cover that Secret Sea, and it's just a mat. So you could die cut something out of there if you wanted. So we'll put that in here. And I just love that paper. That's really, really pretty. Let me tell you really quickly which one that is. It's the Woven Textures Designer Series paper. Woven Textures. There are a lot of those basket weave type. Not so many of this one. This one kind of looks like that linen. Not quite burlap, but definitely a woven fabric. All right, so we've got that part on the inside. Now this piece right here, same thing. We've got a very small bit of that showing. So if you want to trim off a little bit of that so there's more cloud cover, it would then look a little bit more like that. Feel free. It's your card. You guys can edit it the way you want. So then we're going to slip that piece right here on the front. Scooch that over just a little bit. Thank goodness for the liquid glue. Keeps me where I need to be. Now this piece of cloud cover, you'll want to do some dry embossing with some of your embossing folders, and go ahead and use whichever one you like. Really, this one, it's going to be pretty forgiving. You'll be able to use any. I like this one, but if you have like a floral one or just like a wood grain, that would look all right next to this one. Just really, really cute. It adds that little bit of texture without being so noticeable or contrasting with the rest of the card. So we'll put this one right here. And that'll fit on just like so. I just love fun folds. And this one's just a great basic one. You guys will be able to do so much with it. This front side is a good size. And incorporates lots of paper. So if you've got some fun paper packs and you're thinking you want to replace this cardstock with some designer series paper, totally doable. So you would have paper here, and they could coordinate. It would look really cute. So now this one is going to open the opposite direction. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of put this one together before we glue the whole thing down. So let's scooch this one up here out of the way. And you should have a little strip of this designer series paper in your packet. And it should be long enough for you to do a strip this direction or a strip this direction, and it has two sides. So if you wanted to have a different pattern, because it's the same paper as this one, you want to have that different pattern on here, which that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this right down here at the bottom. And I'm not going to stamp anything on here right now. I'm making this one up as a thinking of you. So it could be for someone who's not feeling well, or I could even use it as a sympathy card if I wanted to. So I'm going to leave that inside blank right now, and then it'll be more versatile. So just put that little strip right there. And then we'll trim it off. And again, I wanted it to be longer in case you wanted to go the other direction. So that's going to open up just like that. So we're going to stick this one in right here. Now this one I did cut a little bit more. So this is that larger margin that I was talking about. There we go. And let's go ahead and do the front. So you've got some DSP, and I will say, you know, you'll have to decide if you want it top or bottom, and then it might depend on where you want to put your saying strip, because I want to put mine down here where this flower is not going to be disturbed. But if you wanted to do it at the top, you could just flip it like that. I'm going to do it at the bottom. And then to stamp, I'm going to do this thinking of you. And I know you guys all have basic white. So if your saying is a little bit bigger, you know, just swap that piece of paper out for something that's a little larger. So just gently tap, 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 because that's a super, super, super juicy pad. And I'm going to stamp it in the middle, both horizontally and vertically. And then that way, if I stamped it a little bit off, more to one side than the other, I left it big. So what you're going to do is you're going to center it on here before you glue it down. Well, you're also going to put it on here. And I cut that a little bit big too. You can do it one of two ways. You can put this down and then dimensional that up, because this is the same width as this piece. You can also just dimensional both of these up, or do both of them flat and trim it off to this one so they'll both fit that. Either way is going to be fine. It just depends on if you want this to extend out farther than this decorative piece, which I'm going to do. But you can trim it off to fit this one if you want. Just kind of a different way of putting it together. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. And then I'm going to center the thinking of you. There we go. And now I'm going to trim that off. And this is 3 inches. Now I'm going to make sure that I have this in the right spot. And if it helps you guys, you could go ahead and glue that in before you put this on to make sure you aren't putting anything in there upside down. That will help. So we're going to glue that down. I love this side too. That is so pretty. Oh, you know what? I grabbed the wrong glue. That one is almost empty. And I'll be shaking and banging it on the table. We don't need that. So we're going to put this down. And again, this one, I cut that little bit larger margin. I wanted this one to be, I don't know, more of the spotlight. Hoping that one would get it a little more notice. So we're going to grab our dimensionals. I cleaned these up earlier. I should have left this one out. Okay, you know what? That one, the top was ripped off. That's why I knew I heard noise that sounded like something was sticky. There we go. So we're just going to turn this, and I'll line that up with both of the edges. So there we go. It's all looking pretty good. We're going to put some liquid glue back here. Okay, now I'm going to try to keep this together and just pull this flat back over here out of the way. You guys don't pay any attention to that because it's just going to be a distraction. Line this up to where it looks like it's even all the way around. And wouldn't that be a pretty card too? Just that border around it. But we made it a little bit of a fancy fold. So this goes this way and that goes that way. And that's your card. You, of course, could make a belly band if you wanted to hold this closed, but when it sits on the mantle, it's going to look, that's what the top view looks like. But it will kind of be open, so people will know that it's a fun fold. And they'll just have to pick it up and look at it. So this will be a great anything card, thank you, birthday, anything you want it to be. So remember, this is our cloud cover card, and it's been a fun color to work with. I've been using, out of the new in colors, Secret Sea and cloud cover the most. The other colors, you know, just about the same, but this one the most, I think. Maybe in the spring I'll use more of the Darling Duckling Strawberry Slush, and maybe even the Timid Tiger. They're more spring colors, but I've been using this one a ton. So I hope you've enjoyed being in the Color My World Club this year, and are loving the new colors, and they're fitting in with your stash very well. Okay, thanks so much for stopping by and watching the cloud cover video. I will be sending out the tutorial pretty soon, and send you the links. Hopefully get this up on the YouTube channel as well, just in case Facebook decides to do something with downloaded videos. All right, have a good day. Bye.